The Spectre with the Gold Teeth. When the Sandos family moved into the old house overlooking the ancient walled city of Cartagena, the capital of Colombia, South America, they could not understand why such a stately old house had been vacant for so many years. They also were at a loss to know why every tenant who had moved in only remained for a day or two and then had hastily moved out. Furthermore, Senor Elpidio Sandos, the chemical exporter who had bought the house for his family, could not understand why he had got such a bargain. But Senor Sandos, his wife, and lovely daughter Maria were soon to learn why. On the first night they were in the house, Maria awakened, feeling a chill, dank wind blowing upon her face. It was a musty breeze, strongly reminiscent of an ancient tomb. Her girlfriends had once dared her to enter when she was away at the convent school. At any rate, she had awakened with a start, and that was when she first saw something. At first she could not make it out. There seemed to be a figure in the room, standing at the foot of her bed. It was glowing somewhat like phosphorus, and seemed to be materializing into a recognizable form as she stared at it in wide-eyed terror. Then she saw it plainly. It was a man dressed in the clothes of the late 19th century. He was bearded, and he seemed to be peering at her while beckoning, as if motioning for her to get out of bed and follow him. The most awesome thing about the figure was a grin that showed the dazzling bright golden color of its teeth. Maria found her voice and shrieked. Her blood-curdling screams brought her father and mother into her room in a mad rush. They saw no one there. It took a long while for them to calm down the hysterical girl, who finally told them what she had seen. Elpidio Sandos smiled and told his daughter that she had merely had a nightmare. She had been listening to too many foolish stories about the bearded old man who had once owned the house. But father, Maria protested, the girl next door told me that the old man died in this very room. I tell you, it was he I saw. They tried to laugh it off, but Maria was too insistent. Finally, they relented and changed rooms with her. Nothing more occurred that night. The next night, at the same hour, Senor and Senora Sandos were jolted awake by the terror-struck screams of their daughter. They rushed into Maria's bedroom and found her chattering with fright, her face as pale as the sheets on her bed, her hands ice cold. Again, Maria insisted that she had seen the apparition. This time, Elpidio and his wife did not know what to believe, nor did they know what to do. While it was true that the Sandos business was prosperous, he was far from being wealthy enough to abandon a house he had just purchased, and who would be foolish enough in the light of these events to buy it from him? After quieting Maria down, they decided to wait one more day before doing anything. If the spectre was seen again, and there was no reason why they should not have believed their daughter, they would call the priest. Precisely at 2 a.m. the next night, Maria woke up screaming. Elpidio, who had been worried, was sitting up beside Maria's door. At the first sound of her outcries, he burst into the room. He saw nothing except his daughter sitting up in bed, clutching the bedclothes to her throat and pointing at the foot of her bed. Maria then leapt out of bed and rushed into her father's arms. As she did so, Elpidio felt a cold breeze move by him. His nostrils tingled from the musty odor. There was no doubt in his mind now. His daughter had really seen something. On the fourth night, the parish priest was summoned. After he had been told of the strange apparition, he suggested that Maria should not cry out the next time, but should instead follow the spectre's beckoning hand. In this city, since it was founded in 1533, the priest told Maria, many strange things have taken place. All I can tell you to do is to trust in God and fear not. We will all be here watching over you. It is obvious that the figure you continue to see wants you to follow him. With her heart in her mouth, Maria finally consented. That night at 2 a.m., Elpidio and the priest, Maria's hovering behind them, peered into the bedroom. Almost at once they all shrank back. The chill wind with its musty odor could be felt upon their faces. Then they stifled their surprise and outcries, for Maria was getting out of her bed, her eyes fixed in a terrified gaze at something which was invisible to them. The priest held Elpidio and his wife back as Maria slowly left her bedroom and walked down the corridor which led to the garden, around which the house walls were constructed. A few minutes later they saw Maria stop in the center of the garden. She turned and looked toward the priest and her parents. It's gone. He pointed to the ground right here and then vanished. Elpidio said his wife embraced their daughter. Noticing that she seemed her old self again, the priest asked, "Have you a spade?" While Elpidio dug, Maria held a flashlight, and the priest and her mother looked on. Then the shovel struck something metallic. Elpidio dug hurriedly and soon withdrew a small chest from the hole. They opened it hastily and gasped in surprise. It was filled with gold pesos. Also in chest was a small tin-type photograph. When the priest held the picture up to the flashlight, Maria cried, "That's him! That's the Spectre!" There was no doubt in Maria's mind that the apparition she had seen, which had led her to the treasure trove, was the spirit of the man in the photo. The man in the picture was bearded, and what was even more noticeable were his smile and the bright gold teeth. Why the apparition had appeared only to Maria and not to her parents and the priest will never be known. The spectre was never seen in the Sandos home again.